Good morning. Welcome to Jerry and Katie's Kitchen. Today I'd like to introduce you to a family favorite recipe, the cookbook British and Irish Cooking. It's actually seen better days because my mom brought it from Ireland when she immigrated, so it's probably over 50 years old and it's clearly well used. My favorite is the West Country chicken. By West Country, they mean Galway. So this would be from the Galway region of Ireland. And we've laid out all the ingredients here for you today. The chicken, bacon, chicken broth, onions, mushrooms, garlic, tomatoes, flour, parsley, oil, and butter. So it's basic ingredients that you find in your kitchen. I like to start with the bacon. Now this is a lovely bacon. I'm going to put it onto a medium heat. And this happens to be really fresh bacon from Nick's father-in-law, Con. So we got very lucky in that it's beautiful hand-smoked fresh bacon. This is actually going to be for the top, but we start with it because the brown bits from the bacon will actually help to brown the chicken. So we're going to let that cook and set it aside to rest. So now, while the bacon is cooking, and I've got the plate ready for it to go, we can prep the vegetables. I've done most of the onions, but I want to show you kind of how we do it. I've just half the onions, 2 small onions, and I'm going to make them into small little diced pieces like that. Turn them around and then just dice them up. Pretty simple and not a lot of tears. The onions will give it a juicy flavor. Then we can do the garlic. I just typically press it out of its skin. I'm going to just finely dice these. Lovely fresh garlic that we found at the grocery store that are just absolutely delicious little pieces of goodness. Now I like to flatten the garlic bits with my knife. Gets the garlic juices flowing. And then just get right in there and chop away until they're tiny little bits that are going to go into the sauce. Finely chopped up. That looks pretty good because it will bake down. And it will all kind of become creamy. Now just a quick check back on the bacon. I like to slow cook it so that it just becomes beautifully, the fat just renders into the meat. And I can get back to the mushrooms. Most of them I've chopped. I've left a few because you want them in just thin slices like that. They will absorb into the sauce. Kind of like a one casserole dish. You kind of build it up into a casserole and bake it in the oven. You can serve it with rice, you can serve it with potatoes. I often serve it with a salad or some broccoli, and it's very healthy, it's very tasty, and it's also filled with good vitamins. So just thin little slices like that. And then the tomato, some of it I have de-seeded and juiced, but I'm going to just show you how to do that because the tomatoes add a sourness to the flavor, the seeds that we don't really want. So we just take out the juice like that. And the seeds. And most of it, it can just come out as one kind of chunk, just like that. You don't have to do this, but I do find the seeds add a little bit of a sour flavor, so, or bitter, I guess. So, just like that, you can take that's really the acid part of the tomato anyways. A little bit on the skins is just fine. I like to cut these small in little bits like that, because they're going to be sprinkled over top of the chicken and the gravy, and you want just little niblet sized pieces to be part of the sauce. So just cut them cubed again, much like the onions, cube sized, and they will get sprinkled on the top, and it adds beautiful color and flavor. And I want them in serving size pieces, kind of about the same shape and size. So that's about good, because these are going to get browned and put into the casserole dish for baking up juicy. The fillets I'm going to just leave whole. There we have the chicken prepped and cut. Okay, the bacon is looking like it's almost ready to flip. Let's take a look. Oh, perfect. Nice and juicy brown. I like to slow cook it because it just caramelizes the fat and just brings out more flavor to this delicious bacon. And we will brown the chicken in the bacon oil, so we're going to even add more flavor to it. Natural flavor. Hey, I think this bacon is just about crisp enough to be chopped up beautifully and sprinkled over top. So we're going to take it out, drain it onto some paper towels, and let it cool down. I'm also going to use the same pan, the same bacon grease. Add a tiny little bit of olive oil to the very same pan, and a little splash of butter. Oh, that's probably a little much, but there we go. Let that just swirl around, bubble up, let it get crispy and mix in with the bacon oil. And you'll see a nice little base flowing with that. And now we can turn the heat up a little bit, because we don't want to cook the chicken, we just want it to brown in the nice juices. So we're just going to put all the chicken in the pan, the very same pan, and turn it up to about an 8 out of 10 heat, and brown these up beautifully. Doesn't take long at all. You can see starting to brown up like that already. You don't need it too brown, just a little golden. Beautiful. Just that little golden touch. Oh yes. That's just going to be juicy little pieces to bite into tomorrow night for my friend Sarah coming over for dinner. Okay. And you just want to get to a few sides of these pieces of chicken. Rotate them a little bit so that they all kind of get a little golden touch to them with the butter and the bacon, and just like that. These will bake in the oven to fully cook them. This is just to give them that little golden color at the top. Okay, and they're pretty much just the light golden brown. You can brown them to your liking. These are for me just, I think, perfect. Okay, we can turn the heat back down to about a 6 out of 10. And we are going to put in the vegetables into the very, very same oil again. So we are going to do the onions first. Okay, and some of that delicious, beautiful garlic. And we'll cook these up for a few minutes together. And that's where you really start to get the aroma from the bacon, from the onions and garlic. These will turn a nice golden color too with the same oil and butter and bacon oil. Okay, so for about 3 minutes, you want to just reduce these until they are no longer hard. You want to soften them up a little bit. Again, they will be baking in the oven for the half hour, so you don't need to cook them for fully completely yet, but you just want to get them releasing their juices. Okay, the bacon has cooled off now, so I'm just going to take the bacon, put it back on a cutting tray, and just kind of slice it up into little pieces, because the bacon is going to be sprinkled over the top of the casserole for juicy flavor. This beautiful, delicious bacon adds just a sweet smokiness to it. Some bits that maybe aren't too crisp, you can leave them out. That's bacon crumble. Okay, so these onions and garlic I think have reduced. They're starting to get a little translucent and they're releasing a beautiful aroma. So now we put the mushrooms right into the same pan and we're going to do the same things. Let the mushrooms reduce, bring out their natural juices, liquids, and cook them for about 3 minutes together like that. This is forming the base of our mushroom, onion, garlic gravy that the chicken is going to bake in. So we'll just let this reduce for a few more minutes. So while this mushroom, onion, garlic is kind of reducing, I'm going to transfer the chicken into any kind of casserole dish. I happen to have a beautiful handmade pottery dish from my friend Carla, but any kind of casserole dish will do. And you just transfer the chicken bits right into the casserole. Okay, I think this, you can start to see it's totally reducing and just becoming really, really flavorful and beautiful. So it's time to make the roux. It's important to turn the heat down. I'm at about a 3 out of 10 here. And a roux is just mixing the flour in to make a paste. Calls for about 2 teaspoons. I have about 3 teaspoons here in my bowl, depending on how much moisture is in the vegetables, depending on how big the onions are that you're using. You might need a little bit more or a little bit less. So you're going to add the flour until it's absorbed. You're going to throw a little bit more in again, keeping it on a low heat. And the flour is going to act as the thickener when we add the chicken broth. So I think it's absorbing still, so it can probably take a little bit more flour. You don't want to add it all at once in case, because you don't want it to be too floury or too thick. Again, I wouldn't add this all at once. Give it a little stir up. Add some in. Now you're going to bring the onions, garlic, mushroom mix with the flour into, and as you stir it all in, you can start to see the gravy taking shape. So you can choose what consistency you like your gravy to be. Some people like it a little thicker, some people a little thinner. The consistency that you put it into the pan now will end up being a consistency that it will be at the end. It doesn't tend to get much thicker while it's baking. Okay, so we're going to let it bubble up now. Now just bubbling up. The aroma is so good, so you can turn off the heat. And basically we're just going to pour the sauce right over the chicken. Trying to make sure that we got every part of the chicken covered. Getting all those good bits out. Now we're going to top this up with our sprinkled bacon, tomatoes, right on top like that. They will kind of melt down into the sauce as it's baking. So, but it just adds beautiful color and a nice little topping to the chicken. It calls for fresh parsley, but I have some dried parsley today, so that's what I'm using. And a little bit of salt and pepper. Freshly ground salt, beautiful salt on the top, and some beautiful freshly ground pepper. Okay, now you'll cover it up, preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Okay. And when the oven is warm, it goes right in for 30 minutes. And when it's out, it's a 1-dish casserole ready to go, and it should be delicious. It's been in the oven 45 minutes. Time to take it out. Whoa. Okay. Now we're gonna